Okay, well, welcome to another series of QPR Fans, Our Stories. Those of us in the Heaps and Dreams forum want to hear from different fans about themselves and their QPR past, and we're hoping that you feel the same. By asking each fan a similar set of questions, we're hoping to get different but interesting responses. It's a chance to ask fans about themselves, their memories, and the players and managers that mean the most to them. So on to this week's podcast guest. I shall stop saying that. And it's a very warm welcome to someone who I've been nagging for ages and ages to come on, Chris Rolph from the Sussex R's fan group. Welcome, Chris.
Hello there, Brian.
Before we get on to the questions, Chris, would you like to tell everyone what you get up to doing away from Loftus Road and a certain hostelry in the Brighton area?
Yeah, I'm part of a group called the what are we called? The Brighton, Worthing and Sussex QPR supporters group on Facebook. We have 110 members from the lads down this part of the world, many who go to the games with season tickets, many who go occasionally, and many who don't go. Yes, we do like to meet when we're not going to the games at a hostelry in Brighton, which I'm not going to name. You understand, Brian, why? But we do meet up regularly and have some fun over a few beers.
That's a good thing. Right. Okay, we better get on to the questions, I suppose. How long have you supported the R's and why the R's?
Right, a young boy, I suppose, about 1966, 67. I'd have been 11. My mate's father took us to Brentford in November 66, an FA Cup match against Chelmsford, and 3 or 4 weeks later took us to QPR, and I think it was the New Year's Eve game against Watford that Rangers won well, and that was a 4-1, so I think it was that game. And being of that age, getting into football and everything else, QPR seemed to be winning every week that season. And I suppose a bit like what Dave Thomas said in the previous one of these that I listened to, a bit of a glory hunter. You know, you got Brentford or you got QPR winning every week. So, yeah, I became a glory hunter, and fair enough, for 10 years it probably was, but didn't know I got another 50 odd to go through and not be a glory hunter.
Yeah, I was going to say we should be looking for glory hunting now.
Yeah.
So do you, I know the answer to this, but they don't. Do you live far from West 12?
Yes, I live down on the south coast between Worthing and Brighton at a place called Lancing, 2-minute walk from the beach. I get up to Rangers when I can. You know, the days of a season ticket in the 70s and 80s are long gone. But yeah, I get to W12 probably 8 or 9 games a year.
We've already established where your first game was. So do you have a favourite QPR strip?
I've been thinking about this one. It's definitely the Guinness era, probably 85, 86, that had a very little red bit round here as well. I think Dave Thomas said he didn't like the red stripes and things on it, but I do.
He did. No, I know. So that's the home kit you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously the shirt you're wearing, the Dennis the Menace, yeah, it's my favourite away one, along with the red and white halves, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember that.
I liked that one.
Yeah, that's a good choice, I think, as well. If you manage to travel to Loftus Road, I know you do, where do you normally sit for matches?
About 2 rows in front of you, which is South Africa Road, upper, Block E, near the halfway line. And I know you like the back row, and I tend to be about 2 rows in front of you, but in the same area as you, yeah. I've always liked South Africa Road. I first stood on the terraces,
right,
which was the paddock, wasn't it, underneath and whatever. Yeah. And then it went seated, and I had my season ticket there for a long time. Then moved upstairs, and now I always like to watch on the halfway line or down the sides. I think I've only ever been in Loftus Road End 3 times in, getting on for 60 years. So there you are.
It's funny how we all have our different preferences. I'm like you. I like to sort of watch it from as an observer point of view from the side. But obviously, if you're at the home end, there's a different atmosphere there, and yeah, hopefully more noisy, all round.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, 1 year you will eventually be elevated to the back row.
Yes, I did sit there once this season,
Did.
and you weren't there. Oh no, you did come along, didn't you?
I
Yeah,
did.
you were.
Uh, so, okay, talking about all the time since you've been following the R's, do you have any favorite QPR players over the time that you remember?
Many favourites, but I just like the 75-76 team as a whole, the 12 that did most of the work all season. They were just fantastic, and there were probably better individuals throughout my 60 years of watching them here and there, but as a team, they were fantastic. It really was wonderful years. I thought it had gone on forever.
It's interesting that because with asking the questions of various people, you obviously get all of the ones you sort of expect about the favorites that everyone would have. But then you get ones like you're saying, like that particular year, and somebody else turned around and said, somebody else that they remembered who it was not really that well known. And it just shows you the insight that people have got into the game and people. They understand how players actually perform so well, but go under the radar perhaps sometimes. So,
Yeah, I mean, McClintock and Webb, they weren't the best in the world. Well, McClintock probably was as good as any before we had him, but as a team, they were fantastic. They just gelled as a team. They were wonderful.
yeah, no, I can understand that. That's a good choice, I think, actually. So who do you regard as the worst QPR manager that you ever saw?
Without a doubt, Alan Mullery. Hated him from the day he joined us. And I can't really think why, other than the fact he managed Brighton for a few years before us, and living where I do, all the Brighton hangers on. Yeah, I don't know. I just hated his guts, everything. And amazingly, I think he had something like about a 42-43% win ratio for Rangers. So he didn't actually do that bad. But
No,
he
it's
did
good.
sell Clive Allen, I think. He got rid of Clive Allen. I didn't like that. So
Yeah. Oh, okay.
yeah.
That's
Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes. I don't like him.
that was a much better one. I like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Get rid of Sparky anytime. Um, Excluding the playoff final, what is the best game that you can remember?
The best game or my finest memory of a match, probably two games that happened 10 days apart. And that was the final game, 75-6 against Leeds, when we became champions for 10 days. And then 10 days later, I went to Molineux and watched the Wolves Liverpool game with the QPR Supporters Club. They ran coaches up there, and we were all decked out with blue and white QPR rosette and a black and gold Wolves rosette. And I was one of the lucky ones one of the lucky few, I think, that actually got into the ground and watched for 76 minutes, thinking it was it was wonderful, and then
Right. Yeah.
14 minutes, 3 goals. There we are, so close.
All right. You said you thought there might be two that you could
Well,
think.
that was the second game.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Okay. I
The
thought
two
you
in
treated
one.
that as one
I
long.
remember, mate.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So who do you think is your favorite manager and why?
I think Gordon Jago. Um, Alex Stock obviously did wonders and brought Rangers on in the first place. Then we had the Tommy Dock debacle and whatever. But when Gordon Jago came in, the players he brought in his time basically was the 75-76 side, apart from a couple that Dave Sexton brought in, like Masson and I can't remember the other ones, but I mean, I think Jago brought Bowles, Thomas, Givens all within a few months of each other. But is my memory of it. And then McClintock and Webb, I think he signed both of those as well, and that's half the side sort of thing. And I thought he was a wonderful manager and a gentleman.
Yeah. So Yeah, I think in a lot of ways tremendously underrated at the time. Yeah,
Very much.
I think afterwards, almost immediately afterwards, people realised how good he was. You know how great he was. He certainly was a good manager,
Yeah.
no doubt about that. But I think he was a great manager when you thought about it afterwards. Ah,
Mm.
okay, that's
Yeah.
good stuff. Um, can you remember where you were on the 24th of May 2014, which just happened to be when a certain Bobby Zamora scored the winning goal at the Wembley playoff
Yeah.
final?
I was at Wembley, obviously. Um, I was sitting about halfway back, right in line with the penalty area, in the corner that Hoylett, Richard Keogh, and Zamora set us up for a wonderful evening on the beer.
All right, that's where that flag was knocked over by Bobby Zamora. Yes, I remember.
Yeah,
Oh,
lovely day.
yeah. I think so many memories for so many people that day. Really was, you know. So I'm not going to test your memory too much this with the next one because moving forward in time, we're looking at the where you were when Leeds were beaten 4-0 and we staved off relegation last season.
Yeah, well, that one I didn't go to. I was going with boys from down this way and two Leeds supporters of mine who live locally. And when it got changed to a Friday evening,
Yeah,
we didn't fancy the 1:30 back here in the morning, so we did watch it in a hostelry in Hove,
yeah,
and with a lot of the QPR boys from the Facebook group, and yeah, a very nice evening it was.
yeah. A sense of huge relief, I think, as well, wasn't it?
Definitely, and you know, it was the start of Leeds not going up, which is even better.
Yeah, it's such a shame that really was. I
Such a
should say that. I'll get tagging fan mail from them now.
yeah.
Over the years of watching the R's, can you name a player who's really disappointed you in terms of perhaps their performance versus hype or their inability to stay fit?
I suppose if you really, you know, wanted to, you could go through many of them. But I
Good.
think the signings in 2012, 13, the Diakite, Mabia, was it? Granero. Oh, you could name five,
Yeah.
six, seven that year, which were, well, all hype and absolute rubbish, the majority of them. So a big group in that era. And I think that was Harry, wasn't it? It wasn't even Mark Hughes I could blame for that.
I'm pretty sure they were Harry as well. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, there was
Um,
lots of them in that period. Very disappointing.
yeah, you can only hope that he was getting some money from those because nobody else was getting anything out of it.
No, Remy, Samba, there was another couple on it on that era. So well,
Yeah.
didn't rate any of them.
Well, I mean, we've had some real bad luck at times, but I understand sometimes that when you're trying to get in a striker, you've got to take a gamble every so often,
Yeah,
and you know you're going to get one that perhaps is based upon his record and sickness and whatever does get to him. But so many of the ones I can think of for QPR just faded into obscurity. Whether it was they preferred lying on the fitness bench or whatever, I don't know. I just don't know.
yeah,
Luckily,
madness.
of late, there's only been one that's like that, and that's Taylor Richards, sadly. Uh,
Yes, that has been a shame.
and he's ex-Brighton as
They
well.
still talk of him down this part of the world with a, you know, saying it. They said he was a good player and everything because obviously he came from Brighton, but he was very highly rated down here.
I don't know what went wrong there. I really don't. All right,
Well,
so
he probably won't be there much longer.
so do any of your siblings or children follow in you in supporting the R's?
Now, I've got one brother, not really a football supporter. I did take him to a game when he was a young kid, QPR Stoke it was. I can't remember the year, but no, I think he does watch Manchester City occasionally. He lives up that way, but you know, I don't think he really supports them or anything. And I've no children, so I'm the end of a QPR line, I'm afraid. The uncles and aunties of my father all supported Rangers. But my father wasn't interested in football, but unfortunately, it's the end of the line.
It's never too late for you.
I think it is for me.
Okay. And finally, thinking of the present and the future, what do you think of Martin Cifuentes, and where do you expect the R's to finish next season?
I mean, Marty was wonderful. He came in and turned around guaranteed relegation fodder. We were gone. In the end, what were we, 6 points from the drop? Turned it round, and we'd have finished fourth or fifth after Christmas, if the season had started then. Wonderful. But I think realistically, we've got to be careful with our expectations this year, because the way we finished the season and that fashion of Leeds, everybody's up in the sky thinking we're going to go up. But I think if we can consolidate and be top half, maybe fringe in the playoffs area without a relegation worry in our heads at all during the season, that would be okay with me. But realistically, the heart, though, it's pounding and it's singing away. The R's are going up, but this is telling them, think about it.
I think I was going to say, I think it'd be hard to go from bouncing along in relegation for 2 seasons to getting promoted. But having said that, Ipswich bypassed us and went straight through. So it is possible.
It is possible, but unlikely, I think.
I'm with you on that. I definitely think so. There are an awful lot of variables at this time of the season as to whom we get in, who we lose. And probably one of the biggest worries, I think, would be if we lost Marty. I really would be upset if we lost him. I think he's just been fantastic. So yeah, I don't want to lose him. And we got to get a bit of luck as well. We've, this season, whether through his efforts or whatever, I don't know, but injuries have been very minor in comparison to other seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember that season where not too long ago where we had all the centre backs were out?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, we were very lucky last season. Very lucky. Well, it may have been good medics. Who knows?
Yeah, I whatever it is, or maybe it's a new training ground. Who knows? But they are definitely playing a lot better. And yeah, I'm excited like you about the next season. Really, really looking forward to it. So
starting with the QPR Brighton friendly. I'm not going to miss that with all the Brighton people down here that I know that will want to go just because it's my team. So that should be good for us.
That's the one I'm aiming to get to as well. I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, the Tottenham one, I'm not so worried about, but definitely am about the Brighton one. I'm going to make that one for sure. So it'd be good.
I'm sure we know lots of Brighton people on the trains.
That's true. Very true. Okay, well, that's all the questions I've got for now. So it's time to thank our guests for this episode, Chris Rolph. Was it less nerve-wracking than you expected, Chris?
Yeah, in the end, yes, a little bit. I've relaxed a bit, yes. I have put it off, this sort of thing, chatting to you on Hoops and Dreams for a long time, but you got me today.
No excuses now. All right. So if you enjoyed this episode and the overall concept, that's great. Get in touch with Hoops and Dreams if you feel that your memories need to be shared too. We'd love to hear from them, or of them. That applies especially to female fans, because as you may well have noticed, so far we've had none, which is not through want of trying, I might add. So if you're a female fan, do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. As I mentioned before, we're looking to repeat this fan interaction during the next close season, so the more the merrier. For now, this is Brian Fisher wishing you all a great season. Come on, you R's.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.